busy day for him, and he had pulled an important railtour train full of railway enthusiasts, and he was looking forward for a good night rest. However, his job made him very boastful, as he would often say,
"Do you know why I was chosen to pull the railtour train? Obviously, it's because I'm the number one star and everyone loves me, and I'm the most important engine on this whole railway."
The other engines would simply just ignore Thomas as they think it's not worth arguing. But this night, however, James had grown tired of it and decided to speak up.
Oh, shut up, Will Thomas. Just shut up. Who cares if you're number one? And what would anyone do? Just stop it. I'm tired of these.
No, James. I understand your frustration, but I don't recommend freaking out like that, said Edward, trying to calm James down. Well, if only Thomas knows the true story behind his number one, I bet it'll send shivers down to his frame, said Henry with a smirk on his face. Wait a second, there's a story behind it? I never know it. I thought it was just a stupid number, asked Gordon. Well, yes, a story that not even Thomas himself knows about. Thomas, have you ever wondered why you were the number one engine, even though me and Edward arrived here long before you were even built? Replied Henry, asking to Thomas.
Well, yeah, I do sometimes, but I don't think it's necessary to ask,
replied Thomas.
But asking doesn't hurt you though,
added Percy. Well then, Edward, why don't you tell the story? I'm afraid Thomas will be traumatized. Besides, I don't want him to feel miserable, replied Edward.
Well, there's no other way to stop his boasting. Plus, I want to hear the story,
said James, eager to hear the story. Alright then, if you insist, then I'll tell you. Edward began the story. You see, back in 1914, the Northwestern Railway had just been established, formed by 3 railway companies on Sodor, the Teignmouth, Knapford and Ellsworth Railway, the Sodor and Mainland Railway, and the Wellsworth and Sudbury Railway. Back then, the NWR is needing for a much stronger engine for the passenger service. The strongest engine back then was a Midland Compound 2B, which is a 440 and was pretty much outdated. So the Railway Board brought a new engine, an LBSCR L class, which is a very large tank engine. This engine had 4 leading bogies, 6 driving wheels, and 4 back bogies. He was given the name Powerful after Barrow's warship and became the NWR's number 1. Powerful was big, strong, and was proven capable of doing the passenger work, but I'm sorry to say that he is a very cocky show-off. He would boast endlessly about his size and his capability of doing the work. The railway would close down if it weren't for me, he would often said. And the fact that he's the number 1 makes him even more boastful, and well, he got what he deserved, said Edward and paused. What happened then? Asked Gordon, as he began to shiver too from hearing Edward's story. Well, as you all know, or maybe some of you may know, our railway is formed to serve the First World War, Edward continued.
Wait, so this entire time a railway is actually built to set up the war?
Asked Percy, still trying to understand the story. Well, yeah, but I haven't finished the story quite yet. In the year 1918, the war is getting worse. One day, Powerful had to take a train full of munitions. He bragged endlessly, asking to pull the passenger train. However, the munition train is heavy, and the Civil War Department ordered him to take the loads of munitions. The SWD's base is located at Farquhar back then. Farquhar Quarry, to be exact. Anyways, Powerful had to take the munitions from the SWD's base all the way to Teignmouth Harbour. However, his brakes weren't the best, but back then no one knows that. As he was speeding down the line, he saw the signal at Elsbridge Junction to the loop line was red. He was braking so hard that sparks flew from his wheels and funneled into the munition train. Unfortunately, no one noticed it. It was nearly midnight, and the signal shone red to let the wild Northwestern Express to pass.
Do you smell something?
Asked the driver. Yeah, smells like a fire to me, answered the fireman.
Let's check out.
Just then, the express thunders by and screams, "Fire!" Powerful and his crew all panicked, and without thinking, Powerful shot forward into the express, slamming the brake coach. There was a sudden explosion, crying and screaming could be heard loudly as all the munitions exploded brutally. However, the Solar Search and Rescue Department back then was located at Sudbury, and it took almost half an hour to get to Elsbridge. But by the time the rescue department came, the fire had already gone worse. The lone engine who pulled the express, Powerful, and all of the people died. The only survivor was the guard at Powerful's brake van, but he was badly injured. He was quickly taken to hospital nearby, but he later sadly died due to blood loss. The remains of what used to be Powerful and the lone engine and his train was sold off for scrap. The NWR was in a stage of almost bankrupt, as they had to pay for the loss of people to their family, and also for the company who loaned the express engine to the NWR. It was recorded as one of the most tragic rail accidents on Soder, if not the whole world. But any workman will tell you, however, that every year on the date of the accident, the engine runs again as a warning to others, trying to go past the junction. But it never did. Edward finished the story. All of the engines were silent. They were terrified. At last, Thomas broke the silence.
Ghost. What could possibly go wrong?
He said proudly,
Until you encounter one, you won't believe it.
replied James angrily.
I reckon the last time you experienced a ghost, it didn't end well.
Percy laughed,
Shut up, you little green caterpillar with red stripes.
roasted Thomas. He doesn't like being reminded about the time he got pranked by Percy,
Shut up, you blue embarrassment!
said Percy. He was offended.
Well, anyways, let's get to sleep, shall we?
And everyone went to sleep without saying a word. But as you and I know, Thomas is a little tank engine with a long tongue. Although he claimed himself as a brave engine, he isn't. He can't sleep. He kept thinking about Edward's story. He can't sleep.